I'm standing in the middle of my bedroom, holding an empty shoebox, and my little brother is downstairs playing a video game on the PS5 I bought with 6 months of birthday money and paychecks. And my mom just told me I should be grateful I have a sibling to share with. Let me back up. My name is Elijah. I'm 17, I'm a junior in high school, and I have a 13-year-old brother named Marcus. My parents are good people. I need to say that first because I know how this is going to sound, and I don't want anyone thinking I grew up in some terrible household. I didn't. My mom works as a dental hygienist, and my dad manages a tire shop. We're not rich, but we're not struggling either. We're that specific kind of middle class where you can pay the bills, but Christmas still has a budget, you know? My parents love both of us. They'd take a bullet for either one of us without thinking twice. But love and fairness are two completely different things, and somewhere along the way, my parents decided that everything I earn, buy, or own is community property, while everything Marcus gets is his and his alone. Marcus is the younger one, obviously, and I get that being the baby of the family comes with certain privileges. I'm not delusional. Every oldest sibling in the world knows the younger one gets away with more. That's practically a law of nature. But there's a difference between your little brother getting a later bedtime than you did at his age, and your little brother being handed half of everything you work for while you're not allowed to touch anything of his. That's not a little sibling privilege anymore. That's a whole different system of rules depending on which kid you're talking about. I got my first job the summer before sophomore year, bussing tables at a barbecue restaurant near our house. Minimum wage plus whatever tips the servers felt like sharing, which honestly wasn't much, but I was proud of it. I saved almost everything because I had this goal. I wanted a PS5. I'd been wanting one since they came out, and my parents made it clear they weren't buying one, so I decided I'd buy it myself. I figured if I paid for it with my own money, it would be mine. That felt like basic logic, like something you wouldn't even need to explain to another human being. But here's the thing about my family. There's this unspoken philosophy my parents have that everything under their roof is shared. Sounds nice in theory, right? Very wholesome, very we're a family, we share. Except it only ever flows in one direction. When I was 14 and got a bike for my birthday, my dad told me I needed to let Marcus ride it whenever he wanted because that's what brothers do. When Marcus got a new tablet for his birthday that same year, I asked to use it once to look something up, and my mom said I should respect Marcus's things because he just got it, let him enjoy it. I remember standing there trying to do the math on that. My bike was something brothers share. His tablet was something he should get to enjoy. Both birthday gifts. Both given in the same house by the same parents. Two completely different rules. This pattern had been going on for years. When I saved up and bought myself a nice pair of headphones, wireless Sonys that I researched for weeks, Marcus wanted to use them within 2 days. I said no. My mom pulled me aside and gave me the speech. You know the speech. He's your little brother. He looks up to you. Why can't you just share? You're being selfish. And because I was 15 and didn't know how to argue with my parents without feeling like a bad person, I let him use them. He returned them with the left ear cup cracked. Nobody offered to replace them. Nobody even acknowledged it. When I brought it up, my dad said, "Things break, Elijah, that's life." Cool, very helpful. Meanwhile, Marcus had this collection of Jordans that he treated like museum pieces. He had maybe 5 or 6 pairs, some gifts, some bought with money our grandparents gave him. I never once asked to wear them because I already knew the answer, but one time I jokingly picked up a pair and Marcus literally yelled from across the room, "Don't touch my stuff." My mom heard it and said nothing. Not a word. No speech about sharing. No, he's your big brother. Let him try them on. Just silence. And honestly, that silence told me everything I needed to know about how things worked in our house. So fast forward to last October. I'd been saving for almost 6 months. Between the restaurant job and some money I got for my 17th birthday, I finally had enough. I went to Best Buy with my friend Dante, picked out the PS5 disc edition, bought an extra controller, and brought it home feeling like I'd actually accomplished something. I set it up in my room on my desk, connected to the monitor I'd also saved up for the year before. My room. My money, my console. For about 4 days, life was beautiful. I'd come home from school, do my homework, and play for a couple hours before bed. It was genuinely the most satisfied I'd felt in a long time because I'd set a goal and actually reached it. Then on day 5, I came home and Marcus was sitting on my bed playing Spider-Man on my PS5. He didn't even look up when I walked in, just said, "This game is crazy," like it was the most natural thing in the world. I said, "Marcus, get off, that's mine, you didn't ask." He said, "Mom said I could." I went downstairs and found my mom in the kitchen. I tried to be calm. I really did. I said, "Mom, I bought that PS5 with my own money. You can't just tell Marcus he can use it whenever he wants." She put down the spatula she was holding and gave me this look, this patient, slightly tired look that parents give you when they think you're being dramatic. She said, Elijah, he's your brother. It's a game console. You're not going to die if he plays it sometimes. You need to learn to share. I said, I do share. I always share. When does he ever have to share anything with me? And she said, and I will never forget this because it's burned into my brain, she said, that's different. Marcus is younger. He doesn't have a job. You're practically an adult. You should be setting an example. I stood there for a second and something just clicked. Not in an angry way, more like a sad way. I realized that no argument I could make was going to change anything because the rules weren't based on logic. They were based on who was asking. I went back upstairs, told Marcus he had 30 minutes and then he needed to get off, and I closed the door to the bathroom and just sat on the edge of the tub for a while. But it got worse. It always gets worse, doesn't it? Within 2 weeks, Marcus was using my PS5 more than I was. He'd get home from school before me because the middle school lets out earlier, and by the time I walked through the door, he was already set up in my room. I started finding his snack wrappers on my desk. He downloaded games onto my account without asking. He changed my controller settings. One time I came home and he had 3 of his friends over and they were all in my room, sitting on my bed, playing on my console, with the volume blasting. My room smelled like Doritos and body spray for 2 days. I went to my dad this time because I thought maybe he'd be more reasonable. I explained everything. I told him how much I'd saved, how long it took, how I felt like I had zero ownership over something I'd bought with money I earned. My dad listened, nodded, and then said, I hear you, son. But this is a family. We don't hoard things in this family. You think when you grow up and have a wife and kids, you're going to lock your stuff in a room. You need to learn generosity now. I wanted to scream. I wanted to say, Dad, generosity is when you choose to give. This isn't generosity. This is you taking my choice away and calling it a lesson. But I didn't say that because the last time I raised my voice with my dad, he grounded me for a week for being disrespectful. So I just said, okay, and walked away. Then I made a decision that I know some people are going to disagree with. I took my PS5 and brought it to Dante's house. I told Dante the situation, and he said I could keep it in his room as long as I wanted. So one afternoon when Marcus was at basketball practice and my parents were at work, I packed up the console, the controllers, the cables, everything, and I drove it over to Dante's. When Marcus came home and found the empty spot on my desk, he lost his mind. He went straight to my parents. My mom called me before I even got back from Dante's house, and she was furious. She said I was being petty, immature, and spiteful. She said I was punishing my little brother for no reason. My dad texted me separately and just said, bring it back tonight or there will be consequences. I brought it back. Of course I brought it back. Because what was I supposed to do? Become homeless at 17 over a PlayStation? But I was angry. Not loud angry. Quiet angry. The kind of angry that sits in your stomach and makes you not want to eat dinner with your family. Here's the part I didn't know until about 3 weeks ago. I was at my grandma's house for Sunday dinner, and she pulled me into the kitchen while everyone else was in the living room. She told me something that completely rearranged my brain. She said that when Marcus was born, he had complications. He was in the NICU for almost 2 weeks. My parents apparently went through something really terrifying. And my grandma said my mom made some kind of promise to herself, or to God, or to whoever, that Marcus would never want for anything. That she'd make sure he always felt provided for, always felt secure. My grandma wasn't telling me this to take sides. She said, I'm telling you this because you deserve to understand why, even though I don't think it's right either. And hearing my grandma, my mom's own mother, say, I don't think it's right either, honestly almost made me cry right there in the kitchen. So now I'm stuck in this weird place. I understand my mom better. I get that there's something deeper going on, something that has nothing to do with a PS5 or headphones or a bike. She's not trying to be unfair. She's trying to keep a promise she made when she was terrified of losing her son. I get that. But understanding why someone does something doesn't mean the thing they're doing doesn't hurt. I still feel like my effort doesn't matter in this house. I still feel like I could work 100 hours and save every penny, and it would never actually be mine. Marcus still uses my stuff whenever he wants. My parents still don't see the double standard. And I still can't bring it up without being called selfish. I haven't told my parents that I know about Marcus's birth. I don't know if I should. I don't even know if it would change anything. So tell me honestly, was I wrong for trying to take my PS5 to Dante's house? Or are my parents wrong for making me share everything I earn while protecting everything Marcus has? Because I genuinely don't know anymore.